You could be right over here right now if you wanted, sitting here.
I mean, that's true. Maybe we should do that one of these days.
Yeah.
We just make Emily feel left out.
It's all right. I'm used to it.
She's like, I'll live.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to deal with you guys anyways. I've had enough of you after one weekend.
I had enough
of your shenanigans.
Hi there, and welcome to the JRPG Pursuit, a podcast where we love to talk all things JRPGs. I'm Emily.
I'm Branden.
I'm Abdallah.
And today we have a fun topic with a very special guest. And we are going to be talking about the future of JRPGs in the space. And we thought, who else better to bring along than someone who's really kind of deep in the weeds when it comes to a lot of new tech things and also loves JRPGs as well. So today we are really excited to have Kevin Kenson on with us today. Kevin, could you introduce yourself to our audience and a little bit about your channels and whatnot?
Yeah, so my name is Kevin Kenson. Thank you again for the introduction. I have been on YouTube for a larger number than I care to admit, talking about a little bit more of the tech side of gaming. I started off a slightly more traditional gaming channel, and then the stars kind of just aligned right that when the Switch dropped, focusing on the hardware side was working out a lot better. And so I really kind of pivoted and leaned hard into Switch accessories and some retro tech and stuff like that. And I've been kind of going back and forth a little bit lately. I've been experimenting, dipping my toes back into more dedicated games coverage. But my channel is the very creative name of my name, Kevin Kenson. You can just find me there. I did not go with a gamer tag or anything. And then as of this year, I actually also started doing a JRPG podcast as well, which you guys have had my co-host on, Cameron Hawkins.
It's true.
So, I'm excited to make a little appearance as well. And that's been a fun thing, just a good outlet for us to talk about games more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think a podcast is a perfect platform just to, talk about things that maybe isn't as favorable on YouTube, but we get to still kind of, talk about the things we love.
It's fun to gab.
Yeah.
Totally.
Ramble about things we enjoy.
Yeah, rambling is definitely a specialty.
All the rambles and tangents. But today's topic is all about the future of JRPGs. And we've had a lot of, things revealed about the new Nintendo hardware with the Switch 2. And so I think today we just wanted to talk a little bit about how does maybe Nintendo want to approach JRPGs and just kind of our speculations about what will happen to the platform. And also get into, on the other side, like how other companies will react to maybe the new Switch 2 news and, again, the future of JRPGs. So who would like to start off with, I guess, impressions of where we think JRPGs will fit on the Switch 2?
Not it.
Well, I'll go. I'll go right away.
I think Kevin, who else better than Kevin to?
Kevin should start.
No, I'll start us. So,
perfect.
Yeah, I think the Switch was such a great platform for JRPGs in general.
Yes.
Part of that was because it was a great port machine. All the remasters and collections, that kind of stuff, got to thrive there. Some of the games that pushed a little harder, maybe not the best place to play, but in terms of the total breadth of library is fantastic. And I think Switch 2 has a lot of opportunity to push that even farther because, the jump in tech here is fairly appreciable. There's definitely a couple games where, we've already got announcements of the Switch Edition 2 upgrade stuff. Games are just getting free patches. And there's going to be, I think, plenty of RPGs that did not release on the Switch because it just would not handle them. We already have a couple announced, like with Elden Ring, for instance, getting a little more in the action territory. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 remake.
I get that.
Absolutely. And I think kind of in that same vein, I would not be surprised to start seeing Sega jump on a bunch of stuff. There's so much with Atlas that we can finally bring over, whether that's Persona 3 Reload, Metaphor. Yeah. There's a lot there that's kind of waiting. We're already seeing them kind of push Like a Dragon a little bit more now with that Zero Director's Cut announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And Raito, too?
Raito. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Raito Remastered, Remastered. Not to be too much of a downer on it. I will say the one thing that has me a little worried about Switch 2 and JRPGs, is the game key stuff. Because
Yes.
a lot of
Sure.
third parties,
Agreed.
especially JRPGs that we're seeing right now, seem to be leaning into that. And I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a quick, just like catch up for anyone listening doesn't know. Game key cards are basically, they're telling you up front the full game is not on cart. Maybe some of it is, like a little bit of it, but it's effectively like a license physical check that then downloads the game. So it's like a step above a download code, but not much better.
Yeah.
And a lot.
If anything,
of
I think
third parties are leaning
it's
into it.
just making a precedence, right? Of how can we get games out there for cheaper, and also where we don't have to have the whole game, patched through. Like with the game key card, right? It's no one's going to complain that it's not completely on the cartridge.
Yeah.
It's because they can rely on the downloads to update whenever they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and that also locks off like original launch versions of games too, where if there's content that
Yes.
does end up getting lost or changes that people aren't a fan of, best of luck going back because you can't. It's the same as a download code.
And
the-
I think Square Enix is just with their Bravely Default HD remake being just the key card.
Yep.
I think it's just showing that a lot of third-party publishers are going to choose that as an option as just the cheaper option. So maybe we'll get more games, but it just kind of sucks for, I think, physical collectors.
I agree. There's this part of me that wonders if this is a situation where, like, well, we wouldn't have got it physical at all if it wasn't for this. But it's like, does it still really fully count? And we're already seeing, and again, the headache, RPGs. And I think you're right on the head with it being a cheaper option. It's probably a lower flash storage that they're just allowing to supply to developers for cheaper. And we're seeing Rhino Remastered, Bravely Default Remaster. I believe Suikoden 1 and 2 collection for Switch 2 got confirmed as that as well, which we had a physical edition for regular Switch. So that's a great, step down.
I'll be really curious to see when these key cards come out, how much storage is actually on them. I think that'll be really interesting to see. Like if it's truly like, 500 kilobytes or something that it can store. Okay, maybe, but I have a feeling that's not the case. So the cost savings, it makes me wonder if the Switch 2 storage is substantially more expensive than Switch 1, right? Like we know that they're using more of the Express style on the SD card side.
Yes.
But I wonder how different the Switch 2 card is that Square Enix is like, we need to put this 11 gigabyte Bravely Default game as a download as a key card. Like, why? It's so small.
And that's such a weird thing about this was always a headache with original Switch, and you bring up a great point about the speeds, because on OG Switch you would have potentially 3 different load times for a game depending on if it's reading from a cart, installed to the internal, or installed to a micro SD. And so you might be right where the reasoning is that because they're leaning into that Express stuff for the micro SD and internal, you'd assume is also much faster storage, they might be upping the speeds on those carts, and that's causing them to cost significantly more.
And if that's the case, do the costs come down over time? And will it matter? Because if publishers get used to this as the new normal, are they even going to bother putting out full games on carts, even if they can afford to in the future? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm nervous about where this is going.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly feels like,
I
I
do too. And or if I can interrupt, kind of the thought of, the speeds of reading the game on the cart. I wonder if this is maybe kind of how they've approached, the PS5, where you have to, even though the game's on the disc fully, you still have to download it to the system. So maybe they didn't want to do that approach with the newer games on the Switch 2. And so this was kind of their compromise.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see
the kind of activation code.
I'll be curious to see like the versions, the PS5 versions and whatnot, to see how they're like on the disc and what that's, because like if you look at like, let's say we just found out about the Indiana Jones game for the PS5 that only has 20 gigs
20,
on the actual disc, and so it needs to
Which
download the
Blu-rays
rest
are
of it.
standard. Blu-rays are standard. You're not paying for more.
I know. So like I wonder if that's like gonna just be the approach you'll start to see depending on certain games and certain studios and things like that. But yeah, it's just a bummer, honestly.
And the rise of cost of games that I think is going to be inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
And this might be them just trying to, cut corners right now.
Emily,
and
to your
anticipation.
point, before we move on, I wanted to clarify something because I don't know. You talked about installing off of the cart, like if the full game is on there. Does the current Switch do that? Like when you put it in a brand new cart, does it play straight off the cart, or does it install?
Yes, it does. It doesn't download a copy of the game onto the Switch. It reads it off the cart.
It reads it off the cart. Okay, I wasn't sure because I feel like in the past when I put it in, but maybe it was just installing updates or something.
Usually, if you get a prompt to install stuff, it's usually a patch or something or an update.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was actually one of the fun upsides to Switch versus others is that you could get away with the abysmally small internal storage because you would just run off the game, and then hopefully your DLC and stuff didn't add up. But now, I mean, if more games are going to be doing this game key thing, and I mean, games in general are going to get larger, because we're going 4K, even if they're not all natively, we're going to have bigger textures, and there's going to be bigger game files, and 256 is a lot better than what we had, but it's going to fill up quick.
Yeah.
I
Especially with the
think
cost
so.
of like the SD cards for the Express SD cards, but looking at like, right now for if you wanted to find it, there's like 1 or 2 terabyte versions of them. And they cost about $200 to get one of those Express ones. And so, over time, it's going to get cheaper. Yeah, for the terabyte. For like the 250, I think it was like the 256 costs like $60. So like there's a very massive difference in that. But like another 256 is still not going to cut it in the long run. So you kind of want something, especially depending on how big the games get and the library. So
yeah. I mean, I will say I am glad that they are moving to the Express technology, because the one thing that has bothered me about the Switch, basically since the PlayStation 5 came out, is the load times. Like I sit there and fume when a game is loading. I'm like, you should be faster than this. So that'll be nice. Get rid of some of those.
I remember that in like 2020 when they finally dropped, because like I'd use an SSD on like my PC, but really going from like, now my other home consoles are SSDs and this is how fast things are, and then suddenly I try to play like 3 houses and I go, how long did these load times take again? Like I can only run back and forth as my little character on the loading screen before I'm really getting bored.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Can I say it took me longer than it should have to realize that you like tilt the controller to make the character move? I was like, sometimes the character's running, but sometimes they're just like running against the side of the screen. What am I doing wrong here? Okay. That's cute. That's
see
cute.
now.
But going back to storage, I'm wondering also, because of how limited, the space is going to be probably on the Switch 2 and how expensive extra storage will be and just how large the games will be, I guess people just won't have a lot of games just on their Switch pre-downloaded is what I'm kind of guessing at. And so there's been a lot of, talk about having the Switch or games already downloaded on a system that kind of negates like the reason of getting physical media. But now we're kind of forced to delete games off of these systems that we've downloaded. And that's kind of still relying on the eShop to, house them for extended period of time if we ever want to play them again. So
and that's
it's another kind of growing concern for me.
Yeah. Even if they were to announce like the ability to have, well, I mean, I guess you could load your games onto an SD card and then just have multiple SD cards. But even then, like,
it's not
that's
a great
tricky.
solution.
No. It's not a great solution.
Because SD cards are not like, they're not perfect either. Like they can.
They'll fail eventually, right?
They'll
They do.
Well, and
are those easy to like insert? I haven't looked at the Switch 2 model closely.
If it's anything like the regular Switch, it shouldn't be that hard. It's just you open up and you don't have to like unscrew the system or anything.
I think it's
like on the original, isn't it like behind the kickstand or whatever?
Kickstand.
Yeah.
So you move
it's
it
still
up.
not super convenient though, right?
It's not. Yeah, I mean, and at the micro SDs, I don't know if you guys have this experience, but like on my camera, to get the SD card out, it's like you have to push it.
Nail in there.
You got to get your fingernail. If you don't have long nails, it's like you're trying to jam your finger in there. It is a little bit of a pain.
With a long nail and just don't.
I just got to have and I would only use it for that and nothing else, because I'm not, I'm a guitar player. That's why. I got that long nail.
There's no other.
That's true.
No other
Anyone that
reason.
remembers the '80s, no other reason.
No.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's a headache, and that's also why the game key thing is so scary, right? Because like you even look back at Nintendo's track record with maintaining online stuff not great.
No.
You can re-download for some eShop stuff still, but like you can't buy things anymore for the 3DS, and it's just a ticking time bomb, really. Like even if you prep in advance, as we're saying, like there's no guarantee your stuff's going to stay intact as long as like a properly made physical thing with all the info on the cart. And so I feel bad getting into the negative territory right away, but I feel like JRPGs more than any other genre, like physical is a little bit more prevalent in the community, and there's people that love having like, I have my game, like I actually have it. And the fact that so many in the genre immediately are announcing going the game key route is just like,
so heartbreaking, honestly.
Like, can we not like if there was one genre that we would prefer not to do this with,
it's especially JRPGs.
Because JRPGs are timeless. We want to keep them.
Yeah, exactly.
Be able to revisit, down the road. It's I don't know. Like I was kind of hoping that the Switch 2 would be my main console, but I feel like now the way things are looking, at least, and things could change, but the Switch 2 will probably be my Nintendo console, and then the PlayStation 5 will continue to be my primary system, which feels strange because the PlayStation 5 honestly has not been great overall, right? Which kind of, I think...
And they're already talking about PlayStation 6.
Yeah, there's that too. I mean, there's that too. I don't know. Like,
I think that's just where we are in the state of physical game collecting, unfortunately. And we're just kind of now just seeing the decline happen a little bit faster than we all wanted, maybe.
Yeah.
It's definitely disheartening.
Yeah. I mean, people have been calling it for so long and then it kept not happening, but 2020 really accelerated that. Tons more people got invested in digital right away. Companies saw that, and they also started leaning more into the digital-only systems. And absolutely, GameKey is Nintendo's own way of trying to get... It's such a Nintendo answer, by the way, because it solves no problem. Like, there's no specific issue that this like corrects other than like, this lets our partners sell a physical but save money. I guess like I don't know anyone I've seen that is personally excited to the concept of these. Like even if it was no physical otherwise, it's like it basically is. Like
there's no convenience factor of digital,
It's more like marketing. It's like a business factor. It's like they want because they're gonna have parents walking through stores with their kids, and they want something physically there that the kid can be like, oh, this game, I want it.
That.
Like if it's digitally, they're not gonna like. It's a harder sell for parents. It's a harder sell for a lot of people. So like, they're trying to get like the more mainstream. How many kids do you see in
the gaming aisle on games
I mean, just like if Targets, like I mean, but it still happens.
I don't
even
see
though,
them. That's why I'm asking.
like, it's not as often anymore, but that's still a market, and like,
for sure.
That's why like it's what they're thinking, because like if you, it's just not like.
Well, that's why the code in the box was a thing during the Switch era.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and what even PCs went to eventually, right? Like we still have physical PC boxes that are just a code in a box.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. But PC makes more sense, I think, with the way like Steam and everything has gone through. Like,
it happened a lot faster.
Optic drive.
Yeah, like
just sticking a CD.
Yeah,
but I felt like I just felt that Nintendo was gonna maybe sit out the going truly digital this era, because Because like they suck at, like, let's just be real, they suck at anything digitally. Like their online capabilities are generally not good.
They're a generation or two behind consistently.
To put it light.
Sure.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, we pay for NSO, and it's not like other services that, given it's a fraction of the total cost of like Xbox or PlayStation Premium.
Exactly.
But, like, they're not maintaining multiplayer servers. Like, you're just paying that to get the emulators and stuff. And that makes me curious if there's any plans to like expand the service for that in the future, because online on Switch systems is not great. It's all connection styles that are not good. There's so many games that I enjoy.
I don't see myself using the face cam or anything that they showed off in that direct.
No, I don't. I mean,
I can see using like the audio chat and things like that for certain cases, but like video.
You have Discord. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just maybe convenient if you're moving around and you don't want to like set up a Discord at the time or something like that.
Have it on your phone or something.
Yeah, like
I guess.
I can see there is like niche situations that you'd probably use it, but like it's not.
But there's going to be crazy restrictions on that voice chat thing. Let's be real. Nintendo is very careful. Like, I'm curious to see how they're going to handle all of that, actually, to prevent people from creeping,
Yeah.
There's-
Well, and it's not going to go great at the start. I mean, every time
No.
Nintendo has any kind of open social thing, there's always like immediately 5,000 examples of how this could go wrong because people are immediately doing it.
What was
And
it? In
People
the
are
Wii
already
U?
planning for it, like they're excited. They
What was
can't
it on
wait to
the-
abuse the system.
Was it on the Wii U where people were just drawing pictures of just
Yep. Exactly.
and just
I can
posting it all
imagine.
over? Yeah, that like, but this time it's video, so I worry more that like what things are gonna
Yeah.
come up
Yeah.
on that. So we'll see. But granted, there's like the parental control that like parents can have for kids.
And
and stuff
you
like
can
that.
only do it with friends if you
Yeah.
exchange friend codes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think the camera thing, what it's really going to rely on is whether or not any software makes it like worth investing in right away. Like we already know the Mario Party update is going to have new mini games featuring the camera, and like if that stuff really catches fire, that turns into like the door where someone, okay, well, I'm going to buy this thing so I can play a specific mini game, and maybe that turns into starting to use the chat service if it actually works fairly well. I mean, I do love the confidence in showing like the stream rate not being that great, like the Mario Kart that was just 5 frames a second.
It was a good move on them to be like, it's not going to be great, but it's going to be there. Like
Set
they
your
know, they know it.
expectations
Yeah,
down
like,
here, and maybe it'll be better, and you'll feel great. Yeah,
exactly.
We're no false promises here.
We're probably not going to see that at any JRPG, but
yeah,
there's a possibility, maybe.
It would be interesting if somebody could work out how to incorporate live video, of yourself into a JRPG.
Maybe they'll do some MMOs. I don't know.
Some MMO thing, maybe.
there's
Yeah,
always-
tavern
I feel
chat
like-
in the MMO.
Like incorporating video into games. Like we've already had like the PlayStation Eye and the Kinect and things like that. And
That's true.
they weren't like, they didn't do well. Like relatively to everything. Like it never caught on like as well as like these companies did. So like I wonder what Nintendo has up their sleeves to like really try to sell it. We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe
We'll
it is
see.
just a straight up social chat thing.
Maybe.
And it's, maybe some games like Mario Parties will incorporate it.
Did you see the camera that's a Piranha Plant? And then when
Yeah,
you
that is-
found out more about it, it's only a 480p
480p.
camera.
Oh,
And I'm just like, can you imagine putting that on like, on your like your console, like away from you, and it's like trying to grasp your image of just this grainy.
you
like,
are just a big pixel. You're just a solid pixel.
like moving
But
at
it's a
like a
Piranha
5
Plant.
frame.
It's so cute.
I know, it's adorable.
It is like it's a cool camera. That'd be great
But
if it was
it's 480p.
functional. Yeah.
480p, like you would get like between the 5 like frames per second, like for, like
It's
video
true.
footage and the pixel that will be you.
It's to revive the true old-fashioned webcam experience. You
true,
can't have what is this HD? No, come on. You need to be.
Come on, we dealt with it when we were kids.
Exactly.
You new
Bring it
you new
back.
generation. You can deal with it too.
We need to leave it up to some sort of imagination, right?
But this is good. I'm glad we're talking about all of this, but we have just kind of like front loaded the negative, right? We're like, this stuff sucks.
My bad.
Like in general, kind of broadening beyond the game key card and all that sort of thing. Like what does the future look like for the genre on the Switch too, but also just kind of moving forward? Like I don't know that the Switch 2 necessarily has anything that's like unique to it. Like I guess the mouse is unique in the console space. But otherwise there's not a whole lot of gimmicks.
Function.
I think that would be that's a smart use for that. Like that would be a good
I love me an isometric like party-based RPG. I know it's getting out of the J aspect of it, but Baldur's Gate and like the Pillars games and stuff, I eat that stuff up too. And so like the mouse can I just never liked how those games translated to a controller interface. So mouse is wonderful for that. And I think the biggest place we're really going to see it in the JRPG side of things, honestly, minigames. Minigames, side stuff. Like we're already seeing it with Bravely Default Remaster. They were like, some of the new features. And I've had a few people already ask me like, hey, any chance of that going multi-plat? I was like, not with how hard they're emphasizing the mouse stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Like I think that one's going to be an exclusive, or at least a specific version of it.
Also, didn't Nintendo publish the original Bravely Default in America?
think so.
Yes, but
right?
that doesn't always. I mean, Octopath
true.
was initially published by Nintendo, and
Yeah.
it was only for a set period of time. Live Alive as well, Triangle Strategy. A lot of the Asano stuff is initially published by Nintendo, and then opens up a couple years later, usually.
Yeah, but without some kind of hardware, I guess you just don't do those mini games. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
That'd be
Or
too
they'll
bad.
just do a compromise to make them simpler with buttons or something.
Yeah.
Some kind of alternate. That is a question I've
But-
seen too, because Bravely Default on 3DS had like the camera function stuff where you'd look around. It was like three times that it happened throughout the whole game. But like, is that coming back? How does that work necessarily? You know?
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we're going to see any more, exclusive JRPGs on the Switch 2 at all, outside of, a limited time frame. Because I feel like we're kind of moving away from that outside of first-party games,
Yeah.
at least for Nintendo at this point.
Like, the
Yeah.
closest we'll get is maybe Xenosaga, which is technically Bandai Namco. So, like, that will probably be
If
the
they
only
announce
one.
it,
If they ever announce it, like, let's say, like, on the off chance that, I mean, granted, it needs to happen either way at some point. But if that ever does happen, there's no way I think that could be cross-platform, just by the way that it's going to probably need Takahashi-san, like, on that.
Yeah, if Nintendo funds it,
And
I could
Nintendo
see
will
them
probably-
just restricting it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and Monolith is also basically a Nintendo company. right?
Nintendo, yes.
Like it's
Yeah.
So
They've been
yeah,
fully-
Xenosaga
If you think
is
about
like
it,
theirs.
It's
It's like all but one share or something.
Yeah.
they
Like
own
99%
the
or
majority.
Yeah.
Nintendo is really the only platform holder that has first party JRPGs, isn't it? Like
Basically
Sony
now
doesn't
it is.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sony doesn't
Um,
anymore. Xbox never really. I mean, they
Never
had
really
like
did.
third-party exclusives with like when they were working with Mistwalker and stuff.
Yeah, they had the Mistwalker games.
Like
but that
Lost
was-
Odyssey, still the only way to play that is backwards
yeah.
compatibility.
Exactly.
But as far as like in-house first party, yeah, Nintendo's really the only one right now. And even then, it's Xenoblade, Fire Emblem, and maybe someday Golden Sun if they want to hand that to someone else, because it sounds like Camelot isn't really interested these days. But
yeah.
That
or
would
at
be
least seems that
nice.
way, I should say.
What is Camelot doing? Is it just doing Mario sports games? What
Sports
are they?
games, sports
That's
games
it.
all day, every day. That's what it's
Man.
been the whole Switch life cycle. And
Shame.
yeah,
If only
and I
they
don't
could
know.
get one right.
Right.
Damn,
I'm
They're
sorry.
still riding the high of that Mario
I came in harsh on that one. Okay.
I think the golf
They're
one
not-
did well, right? I don't really personally care much, but I think the golf one did well.
Yeah, it did.
that was
I think
it
they
did
they
fine.
did.
I think it just like
They sold
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I
It
think there
wasn't
were
strikers.
Yeah, it wasn't strikers. I think the biggest thing was like they just like were kind of bare bones a little bit in terms of.
They're still
content.
riding the high
Yeah.
of the Game Boy Advance Mario sports games they made that people loved. They're still
Yeah.
still cruising on that.
But even the GameCube ones were great. So
yeah.
Yeah. I think when it comes to the idea of like exclusives that are not
Yeah.
first party, getting into third party territory, the problem we're running into is that a lot of third parties aren't really interested in that anymore. Even, I mean, one of the big name Square has even been like, we don't, this wasn't really working out. And I think we might still see timed, certainly. Like, again, a lot of the Asano stuff tends to be timed releases like that. But even like they're working on the Dragon Quest HD 2D games, and like those are multi-platform right away. I think maybe in the case of something like Bravely Default, timed exclusive, it could end up opening up like a version, removing some things. I don't think Sega really has a history or interest in doing stuff exclusively for Nintendo moving forward. All the Atlas stuff, I think they want to bring it. I think stuff that hasn't been coming to Switch is now going to make its way over.
Yeah.
But that's in the name of trying to be in as many places as once.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm curious, like with Patapon coming out and other things. I think we talked about it once. Like, just the curiosity of like, these are Sony originally Sony branded things that have now like Sony doesn't really care to like do anything with
They're
it. So they've
selling them to Bandai or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like, hey, why don't you just? So I'm wondering if we'll see like things like Legend of Dragoon or even like the original Wall Arms games and things like that come through from that perspective. So,
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I really think Sony, especially in the case of like the games we're seeing so far, like Patapon, I think Sony has like this image thing at this point where they're just like, oh, well, those are like weird, fun, little silly games. That's not really like even if you look at something like Astrobot, which a lot of people are happy is like, oh, Sony learned to be like fun again. That's still, I think, a very like polished, safe 3D platformer.
Yep.
It's not play this rhythm game with silly little 2D guys saying Patapon and stuff repeatedly. Like there's a very specific breed of like weird PlayStation that existed near the end of like PS2, PS3, PSP, and just we're not. They're like that's not us anymore. We don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not a game where you play as a flower petal, like
exactly. Yeah, I think they image-wise want to be all in on like the prestige cinematic third-person adventure, whatever. And
that
so
reminds me of that weird, like, was it on the PS3? It was like that one game where you collect people in a city. It's like this isometric like cityscape, and you're grabbing a bunch of people and you're trying to get them to escape. It was like one of those really weird like Sony like PS3 digital games.
that's not ringing a bell for me.
Well, I cannot. I'll look it up.
it sounds
after a
vaguely
little while.
familiar. Yeah.
And then I'll remind myself in a bit.
Yeah, report back when you figure out what it is, because I can't think of what that would be.
Can't either.
Maybe you dreamed
so
it.
when it comes to stuff like Legend Dragoon and some of those other older titles, I mean, I would love that. I don't know what the priority is or who in what office has to like push the button, but
I think
would
we've seen
like to see
that remakes or remasters or ports are just easy money at this point for the JRPG space. So I could see that being, kind of the default for new releases the next 5 years easily.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's very safe, especially because not that there isn't plenty left, but I think the well of like SNES and PS1 is beginning to get tapped out. And we're going to enter a phase of seeing some PS2 and even PS3 era stuff that is trapped on those platforms get remasters or remakes and open them up. There's so many left that could be. I mean, as someone who loves that era, I mean, like SNES PS1 is like my golden age of games personally. I'm for it. I like the ability of having those on recent systems, at least as long as they're done well. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I mean, we're in the middle of it right now. Suikoden just dropped.
Yeah.
We're getting Lunar very soon. Yeah. It's going to go strong.
I think so. Maybe fewer like total remasters or remakes, like what we saw with Final Fantasy VII stuff. But I think some of the low-hanging fruit we'll see more of.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'd like to see them start to tackle like PS2 era, like JRPGs. I know we've been doing a lot of PS1 right now, and like to see like we've got Suikoden 1, 2. If we can get 3, 4, and 5, and further, and then the same thing with like Grandia. If we can get 3, Extreme, and
there's some great little gems on PS2 that never got the right amount of love because like. The Final Fantasy name was so strong and people were mostly picking up Square Enix stuff. And like the one I've been yelling about a lot lately is Shadow Hearts. Like I wish more people had the opportunity to play Shadow Hearts because like the first two especially are so good.
Shadow Hearts Covenant is like an all-timer for me.
Excellent.
Like just incredible.
It would be great to see like a remaster of that because honestly, like even if you try to emulate it, like those timed button presses for the battle system is hard because there's always going to be that lag with emulation that comes with like that piece. And so like, it just needs to have like a really good port of it.
I mean, even playing the PS5 games right now, some of the back compat ones, Legend Dragoon, I've actually started playing that because Cam and I are going to do a thing on it. Yeah. I'm like, this timing mechanic is not working the way it's supposed to. Like I've played this before, and this is not the right timing.
Sony's emulator is especially not very good from
a lot
what
left
I've seen.
To be desired.
It's very bare bones, and
there's free ones online that are better. Like I don't know why they.
They could have like partnered with some
I'm sure they're afraid of some kind of legal issue if they use some open source thing, but
Nintendo and Sony would never, because that would require acknowledging that field. Like that would be like, emulation exists and we're going to use their tool. Like no, they would never
Nintendo's too busy trying to destroy it to want to like help or bring them in. Because they would have been nice to bring them in for like N64 emulation and things like that to help like just make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Or a lot of bit better because it's pretty rough.
I mean, emulation on N64 is just hard in general. Like it's not an easy system to emulate at all.
That's why it would be great if that Analog 64 would finally come out. I'd like that.
It drops, right?
Who knows?
Excited.
Whenever I
was excited. Now I feel like I'm kind of losing the wind in my sails, but
I keep forgetting about it, so I'm just like gonna roll with that.
I mean, there's a few devices like that where I'm like, oh right, I ordered this like 2-3 years ago. What's going on with that? And
I've still got a Mr. Pi that's coming at some point. I don't know.
Especially with like I pre-ordered the Superstation
Yep,
and
same.
I like at that point I'm like, I don't know like if what that's gonna look like or how if I'm gonna
Is it
probably
going
have
to
to
get
pay
caught
more
up in the tariff? Yeah.
Probably.
yeah. Because I don't
Yeah, it
think
depends
We
on how
talked
much-
a lot about ports and remasters
Yes.
of JRPGs that have, been beloved over the years. Do we think there's kind of a dry spell of new JRPGs coming out? Like, are we only just looking at maybe Nintendo for the new ones? What do you guys think?
I think certain companies, and this is falling into a bit of the AAA trap that's just been an issue across the whole industry. Square Enix is one that personally I'm a little worried about right now because while we have been getting some good stuff, there was the talk, what was it, early last year about kind of restructuring their goals and like what they were going to emphasize. Because we had a really nice era there of like, I know they weren't all winners, but lots of weird experimental stuff that some of which I actually really liked. When they did Harvestella and Dio Field and they brought back Valkyrie out of nowhere, which that one I didn't love quite as much. But there was, they were trying things. And now it seems like the remasters and like big name stuff is what they're going to focus on. And like, I don't know what the rest of their year looks like right now. Like we know Bravely Default dropped. We know we're getting Dragon Quest.
The 1 and 2, but where's 12 for Dragon Quest and where's Kingdom Hearts 4?
Yeah.
So those are in the pipeline, but maybe not this year.
It's been 6 years. How long has it been since they announced Kingdom Hearts 4? With
4 or 5?
3 years?
I think
Has it only been 3 years? It feels like forever.
I think
they
we've
showed
known
the
about
trailer.
it for a long time, but the trailer I think was like 3 years ago.
Was 3 years ago? Okay.
But that's about on par with Kingdom Hearts.
For that franchise.
But still, to have a trailer and then nothing for 3 years is,
I know, they used to have
unfortunately,
all
on
of those
par.
systems have something.
Yeah. Dragon Quest 12 was the same way. It's like we got that one trailer that just showed the 12 and then it kind of just
That basically said we're working on this. You could have just said we're working on this.
And what made that one more painful was they didn't just leave it at like we're working on it. They were like, oh, we're working on it, and we're going to do everything different this time. What does that mean? Later,
it's going to be more
bye.
mature.
Like they just didn't elaborate.
No, they're just like
it's going to be full frontal puff. It's going to be they're going to show everything finally.
Hard open with puff.
full frontal puff is wild.
Man.
That's
a
the
wild
M rating in the
concept.
corner. Just full frontal puff is like why.
That's why everything was on fire for the 12. It's like, but like also like that statement for diehard Dragon Quest fans is a horrifying statement. Like especially for like the
Deeply upsetting,
Japanese,
right?
like,
It's so vague.
yeah. Like because they
so
hate
vague.
change, they don't like change. They're the most.
They rely on that series to not like everything else can change. Everything else in
This
the
is my
world
rock.
can evolve. Dragon Quest is Dragon Quest. Like, don't touch it.
Guys, we've
I wonder
decided
if
to
that's
remove
why they're doing the
slides.
HD 2D remasters to kind of pacify them. Like you can have your old stuff, but we want to try something new.
Well, and something Cam and I've talked about is I think there's a very strong chance that like they're not stopping at 1, 2, 3. Like
No.
I think we're getting HD 2D 4, 5, 6, like at least through the 2D era. Until we get to
think so.
I think that's very likely.
I hope so. Those DS games are expensive.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I am missing 6, and I feel that gap every time I look it up every now and then and go, not right now. Not today.
Yeah.
Not the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Square, I think there's going to be a lot of gaps coming up, which as much as I don't want that to be the case. I think there's going to be some stuff. I'm sure Asano has something else in the tank. Saga keeps getting support, which I'm for. I'm not sure how it happens, but I'm for it.
I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I'm all for it, but like that's like the least
great.
likely. Like that's the least likely like series that I would think in this day and age would get this much support.
And I think they did the right thing by like having Romancing Saga 2, remaking that game the way they did. Like that is when I played that, I was like, okay, this answers all, like this solves all of the problems that I've had with this series. Like it doesn't change the gameplay. It just makes it more understandable and makes it more enjoyable. So I was like, okay, like do this for all of that. Like let's get, you don't have to fully remake, like they didn't remake Saga Frontier 2, but like I'm hoping, I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm hoping that they like put in some more quality of life things to smooth it out a little bit. But yeah, like it's a cool series. It's just been so inaccessible. Like, from a gameplay perspective for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because all those Asian English like ports of their older Saga games, like I think a lot of people didn't touch them because of just, kind of how old school they were.
Yeah.
And even they were experimental old school and did not do the best job of explaining that. Like I mean, I when I played Saga Frontier Remastered, I like forgot how much I had to figure out the first time around. Like it came back to me while I was playing, but I was like, how did I figure this out when I played it the first time? Like way back when. Like did I just have that much more spongy brain to like figure it out? Like what?
I never figured it out, so props, because I I rented that game and I was like, what is this? I want my money back.
Yeah, luckily I played it at a friend's house, and then I just decided I was never going to get into it fully. I mean, I did get Unlimited Saga for PS2, which was like a terrible idea, probably. Because
That's the board game one, right?
Yeah, it's
basically a
like
board game.
Unlimited's super weird. That one I didn't figure out either. That was a rental that I was like, nope, I'm good. I don't. That was like 14-year-old me being like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what any of this means.
I'm confused and a little angry, and I'm just don't know.
Not this one. Not this one.
Square doesn't. Yeah, like they don't have anything huge on the calendar unless they are being really good about keeping their cards close to the chest or whatever. Like, and they're gonna drop some big revelations of games that are gonna come out 6 months from now.
They did call for content creators to sign up to their thing.
They're trying to push. Yeah, they're trying to push.
Guys, we're gonna get Final Fantasy 9. We're doing it. It's finally.
I want to believe.
I've heard. I don't know.
I've forever now.
I've heard through the grapevine that was canceled a while ago.
Yeah.
So
I've been hearing that as well. I mean, the thing is, all of it is, when it comes to information like that, outside of the NVIDIA leak, which is like, yeah, at that time, it was definitely a true thing. Like we can say that at some point it was a thing being worked on, talked about, who knows how far along. But like past that, we're all just grasping at straws and working with like maybe insider information. And it's just like, maybe it's happening.
It's like wishful thinking
that
too,
and Final Fantasy Tactics.
It is wishful thinking.
Just
like,
the longer the leak has been, it's harder to.
And thankfully, we have Meguri Mod. Like the Final Fantasy 9 remaster Meguri Mod version, that is like a perfect way to play that game. So
true.
There's always that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about some other companies like Bandai Namco. They have the Tales of games. Like they've been doing all these, remasters or ports of, the earlier games in the series. And was it the 20th anniversary or 30th? 30th anniversary, I think, of the franchise. Yeah. We haven't heard of a new game since Arise.
I think
I'm
we'll
curious
get a trailer this
what
year.
they're doing.
I think we'll get a trailer this year because like I feel like they'll announce it
should be
this year
right?
for the 30th anniversary, and I think we're like at that time because like Arise has been it's been like what, like
is it 21?
Yeah, it's been like what, 4 or 5 years since Arise. Something like that.
It's been a while. Yeah, I think 5 years. And then it got a content update like what, 2 years in, but even then it was so out of nowhere. I think Bandai Namco is going to follow a similar vein, at least in the JRPG sphere, as what we were kind of saying with Square, where like they're going to eat up doing ports. Like we're already in the middle of that, right? Like we just got Graces. We're probably getting Abyss next. I would not be surprised to see a couple others in the pipeline coming down eventually with like Zillia and such.
Yeah. And they canceled a bunch of anime games too. Like I think there was some announcement, right, where they canceled all those games.
Yep.
So maybe they're going to hone in more on the JRPGs they know will sell well.
Exactly.
Which will be
give us that hack remaster.
Titled ones.
Yeah, I think Bandai Namco was learning that stuff that had IP licensing just wasn't, because it's like you already need to hit so many sales, and when there's another IP involved, especially when it's something like Dragon Ball, like that, that's eating into your profit margin. I mean, that was even I can't remember the company now. Was it Tencent who was like, Marvel Rivals, never mind, actually, or not that Nexon? I forget who owns it right now.
I think it's.
But that was like their thing. Is like, it's wildly successful, but we're not actually making that much because it's Marvel. So
the licensing deal for that one is expensive, I'm sure.
I bet.
I'm sure.
Yeah. No, but
I would be happy.
Namco, they always come up with like a very random game too. Like you had like what was that one action? I had it in a video one of my other videos. But they always do like an action.
They got like some Gundam type of ones too.
They have Gundam games, but they also do kind of like they had that cyberpunk game with the cyberkinetics stuff. Scarlet Nexus. So they have games kind of similar to that vein that they kind of just sometimes just drop like randomly, and they're kind of like JRPG adjacent. They're like action RPG with like lighter RPG mechanics in there. But
like as much as I like some of the licensed games they've done, like I liked One Piece Odyssey personally because I'm a One Piece fan. But I would be happy if they kind of steered away from that and focused more on some more interesting kind of unique IPs.
If they want to continue remastering the Tales of games, I think that's great. They need more attention. There's some great ones that are locked on dead hardware. If you want to play Exilia, you know, that's PlayStation 3,
and
right?
some
like,
we never got. In the
some we never got.
Yes,
if we could get
yes.
those finally, that would be cool.
That would be amazing.
I would like to see them continue the series as well.
Yes.
But, you know, a remaster is better than nothing. So I'll take it. But
True.
Yeah.
What other company do you guys think is? I guess we
Sega.
can talk about Nihon Falcom or Sega. Let's do Sega first.
Yeah, because actually,
Sega
I think there's an
Atlas.
interesting transition to Nihon Falcom compared to a lot of these other companies.
Yeah.
And Sega, I think, is a good segue for this because they have some franchises they treat, I think, the same way Bandai Namco and Square do, with, like, for instance, all the Persona and SMT stuff. I mean, we're getting tons of ports of those older ones. We're getting a lot of the SMT PS2 era stuff. I would love to see the DS stuff make its way off because there are some great games locked to DS and 3DS.
Yeah.
You know, SMT4, my love, Devil Survivor, great stuff. And so I think for that franchise, we're kind of in that similar idea of like, we're going to get a new game every 5-6 years, who knows? And meanwhile, filling the gaps with remakes, remasters. I mean, we're already hearing rumors of like Persona 4, rerun, rewind, whatever term you want to use. But meanwhile, there's other franchises. I mean, this is more Sega than Atlas, but like Yakuza, that's yearly now. Like they're just pumping those out. And like, I think that, where I think that ties interesting with Nihon Falcom, and I wish more companies would do, is like aim lower. Yeah. It's fine. Like you can make a great game, but like it doesn't need to be the top end budget. You can reuse assets. You can have a certain scope in mind. And like we see companies that have that goal where they're like, yeah, we're not trying to make a multi-million-dollar big hit seller. We have our dedicated audience, and we're just going to pump them out because we know they're going to turn out. You know, even if it's Pirate Yakuza, where there's some mixed feelings going on, like people still showed up.
Yeah.
And having that big franchise behind you, I think that only kind of helps, you know, other outsiders like recognize like, oh, this is actually a popular thing. Maybe I should check it out. So they keep going.
Exactly. And it's just like, I mean, it just creates better fans in general when you're having like, they're always the reliability of like, you know, they're going to come out with this game and you know the quality that's usually going to be put into it. Like, you know, reusing the assets and everything like that. Like no one really cares. Like we're Trails fans here. Like that's their bread and butter. And so like, as fans, we just want to see the story progress or see new aspects of it. The graphics are all there to just tell it. So like it's not as
they just
intense.
do micro improvements,
exactly,
you know, for each generation.
Improve
I think that's
gameplay,
totally
yeah.
You know, and reusing assets, it's more than just a cost saver. It actually creates in the audience a sort of like connection to these virtual places, right? Like in Trails, Crossbell, like, you know, we've spent so much time as Trails fans in Crossbell. I could walk around that city with my eyes closed. I know where everything is, you know, and it feels good. It feels like, you know, like it feels good to know that and to feel that. So,
well, I mean, that's like
same with
Kamurocho.
I would say it wrong. Kamurocho. Kamurocho. Same thing. Like you get this familiarity with the place, and that's a bonus. That's not a detriment.
And it becomes like the visual representation of that generation, because then like that they're using that specific engine for that generation, and they're building multiple games around that same engine. Is that you just become like it just becomes a nostalgic feel for that. So like you look back at it, and that's why we look back at like, you know, Trails games or certain types of games like old Yakuza games. You kind of look at it, you're like, that aesthetic is like nostalgic. You kind of feel for that because it's like
just that
feel
cohesion too.
Exactly. Takes you.
But one thing I guess I would like more of from both Sega, Atlas, as well as Falcom is more kind of new IPs, because I feel like they've played it safe, you know, just sticking to the IPs that have done well. So for, you know, Atlas, Radiant Historia, Perfect Chronology, that's one of my favorite games of all time. So I would love to see, you know, something new like that to be exciting, you know, because I'm not the biggest SMT Persona fan. Like I'm not against them or anything. It's nice to see something new, you know, totally turn heads. That come out.
That's just sadly, I think, a thing industry wide that like new IP is risk, and I hate that that's the case, but it just is. I mean, even looking at, I think there's a couple teams and companies where you can rely on that a little bit. Like I think Vanillaware is always going to come out with something else. Like that's just what you know. You have a general idea of how it's going to feel because it's a Vanillaware game, but like we're probably not getting a direct sequel to anything. You know, the rate they've been going.
No. But how long does it take them to come out with a new game? Is it at least 5-6 years?
I was going to say it's quite a bit of time.
They're not the biggest team, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and also like I think because they're not actually like owned by Atlas. That's just who they work with all the time, and they just work with the budget they have. I mean, Unicorn Overlord. They work with
Access too, and some other companies too for distribution.
Yeah. But I guess the main point is that they don't always have the financial backing. And we know, I mean, they've talked about in interviews how Unicorn Overlord, they almost went bankrupt. Like, I mean, they basically did. And then, you know, it did well enough to put them back in the black.
Now we can make the new game.
Now to do it all over again.
No,
I can't imagine.
Like, one thing I'd like to see, though, is like Sega. Like, I know like Sega has been tapping a lot more into, and they've been talking about this. They have the whole like regurgence of like, their old IPs. Let's bring them back and let's like do these new versions or remasters or things like that. They kind of like been hinting out like Golden Axe and things like that are coming our way. The same thing with like Skies of Arcadia. There's probably like something that might be coming our way, but also like something I'd like to see is like them take a look take another try at Phantasy Star from a non like multi like player,
single player
version.
Like
a nice like we need more sci-fi JRPGs. So just please.
Or Sonic and the Dark Brotherhood too. You know,
why not?
That's an option.
Why not? What's BioWare doing?
Why not?
What's BioWare doing these days? I don't even know.
I would be all for a new Sonic just JRPG in general. I feel like
give me a Sonic JRPG based on the Saturday morning cartoon. Damn it. This is like, you want it to be successful? That's your recipe. I don't understand these characters. These weird characters. Cream? Yeah. Come on. Give me Princess Sally Acorn.
I understand Big the Cat. He wants to find Froggy.
True, yeah.
I want Sonic to fight God at the end of the game. Like it needs to be like, you know? Yeah, like that's what it needs to. It needs to be that epic.
It all goes back to God ultimately, right? Yeah. Like Robotnik's bad, but who made Robotnik?
Exactly.
God.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, like Chaos kind of tapped into that a little bit. Yeah,
that's true.
It's always got to technically from that, or it's some kind of weird interdimensional power.
Yeah.
Another company I was thinking about, and they don't have as many JRPGs in the sense that I think people think of as JRPGs, at least that they're actively making. But someone at Capcom, please open the vault door for Breath of Fire.
Yeah.
Like just like even like I don't necessarily need a new one, but like just bring get them even quarter. I don't care. You know, we don't talk about 6. 6 never happened, but but 1 through 5, just bring them back.
Yeah.
And with how remake and port happy they are, it's so surprising to me. Outside of 1 and 2 coming to Nintendo Switch Online, there's just been nothing. It's so bizarre to me.
They feel the same way towards Mega Man as they feel like, at least the Mega Man, they kind of slightly throw it a bone in some weird ways, but like Breath of Fire, they hate it. They hate that series. Yeah. Like they just will not talk about it. It's like they're
This is the new golden age of JRPGs. Why aren't they hopping on the train?
I don't understand.
Even just a port. Like I don't need them to try again. Like because I think that's the issue with Mega Man 2. I think they just don't literally know what to do with a new Mega Man.
No, they don't.
Like they tried and then it went by. Like I didn't dislike 11. But I can't tell you much about it from memory other than had the time stuff. Like, it just kind of came and went, and I was like, oh, that was a fine new one. Like, it was neat.
Okay.
I think they just don't know what to do with it. And I think Breath of Fire is absolutely the same kind of situation. I think they just don't necessarily have staff interested in doing that.
Yeah.
But, like, port and remaster. Like, those are still, like those games are already great as is.
I know.
Just.
Because, like, especially the PS1 ones, like, that pixel art was so good. Like, if you just upscale that pixel art, and just,
that would be gorgeous.
It would look so good, and like the fact that we got Konami to do a remaster of Suikoden 1 and 2 before Capcom would touch Breath of Fire,
coming back from the pachinko dead to give us Suikoden. I know.
Yeah,
I hope it sells well enough to do something with 3, 4, and 5 as well.
I really hope so.
Like they're putting more into that franchise than I thought they would. I mean, I know there was that one like Japanese specific broadcast, but they're like, oh, we're doing an anime, we're doing a manga tie-in. They're also making a mobile game, and that's going to be a whole thing. But just I'm surprised how much they're actually seemingly investing in that franchise again, and I'm very curious. Like, what
I will say like mobile game, I'm a little wary, but I'm gonna gonna buy the heck out of that mobile game because like they need to know like we want more of this. Like
I will be a whale for this game if that convinces you to port more.
If they need, if this is what you need to know that we're still here and we still want this, fine.
I feel like like Konami has just become a new person now. Like this, they're just a new entity. I think they've kind of realized that, like, all right, like, I think that it's just a breath of fresh air of like the people that are at the company that have like probably solidified. Like, they just like went up against everyone and was like, you know what, we don't want to just do pachinko machines forever. Yeah. Can we actually bring these back and do them justice? Yeah.
Well, I think too with Konami is when you look at the credits for some stuff and like what's been going on, I'm not sure how much is really internally them. It's like they have their name attached to things, but it's been a lot of like, hey, do you guys want to make Silent Hill? Do you guys want to make Silent Hill? Do you guys want to remaster Suikoden? There's a team working on Metal Gear Solid Delta. I still don't think we ever got like full clarity on who. I think it's like Virtuous and then like maybe some Konami.
But honestly, outsourcing, if it's what's driving them to actually release these, it's great.
Use the IPs, absolutely. I do it for Castlevania. I've been loving the port collections. Let's get a new 2D Metroidvania out.
Yeah, do it again. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Mercury Steam I feel like they've redeemed themselves. If they want to put Mercury Steam on another one, I would be okay with it. I would be okay with it.
Or even hit up some smaller like indie type teams. I mean, we've been seeing who was it? Who did the Advance Wars remaster collection? It's they also do like Shanti and
Way Forward? No.
Way Forward. Yes, Way Forward.
Is it Way Forward? Okay.
Yeah, like even Way Forward, like having a go at it. Or I don't know why Capcom hasn't worked with NT Creates again. Like I feel like there was a great time there, and then it's just been nothing. Like there are a lot of smaller, dedicated teams that respect the source material and just like let them at it.
There's also like M2 who are like really good at like they're like one of the greats in terms of like especially old school like retro games. They have a deep knowledge of how to scale things and how to make things work, across the retro stuff. But like also they're very passionate about making the experience like 1-to-1 almost across like.
I'm curious too with Gung-ho, like what's their next title going to be after Grandia remaster and Lunar remaster? They're of course doing Sky stuff, but that's just for publishing rights. But I'd be really curious, like what other old school games will have like a new look? Yeah, it'd be circulated again.
What are the? I was going to say, what are the chances of if it's like Gung-ho working with Nihon Falcom? Like, I know there's a lot of older Legend games that just never really either came here or they didn't really get time to breathe because it was like a PSP release and they moved on.
Oh, the 3 Legend of Hero games.
Yeah.
Those also had bad localizations on the PSP.
If they want to take another crack at that'd be fine.
I think that would be great. Honestly, I think I don't know how you pronounce it. What are they called? The G, the.
Give me a little more.
Yeah.
I forget the whatever it's called for those that 3 trilogy, but I think they did some sort of mobile thing.
Gag-harv, or it's a weird, gag-harv.
Well,
it's got the word gag in it. That's how I remember.
There was like a mobile gotcha thing that was announced, like using it, and
yes,
that did not go well, as I understand.
No, it didn't. But I'm just curious if they're going to bring it back at some point because they tried it one avenue. Maybe they're like, okay, that didn't work, but let's try actually bringing the games back.
Like they're actually cool. The gag-harv games, like they're cool. Like the localizations are pretty bad, so it's a little rough. And I would love to play it. Remastered with a little bit, faster load times, but it's cool. Like they're actually cool JRPGs that we technically got, but like, I don't think anybody played them and they're super rare now. So
yeah.
And it's just cool to see the origins of, Falcom's, first attempts at a JRPG outside of these.
Yeah. So. I mean, Falcom, their roots run deep.
Yeah. Seeing how much how much inspiration they took from those first 3 games for Trails. Like there's parallels in the storytelling, in the characters, in the game systems. It's, it's for somebody who loves Trails, it's a really interesting piece of history, but it's so inaccessible, Fun
fact. Yeah. Fun fact. If you've watched Your Name, Makoto, what's his name? The director. Shinkai. He came from Falcom.
He did, yeah.
And the crater in Your Name that they go to is actually referenced from East. I forgot which East, but there's like there's a picture. He actually like in an interview said it. It was like loved
That's
that
cool.
image from the Ys games, and he like wanted to bring it into his movie.
Yep.
So yeah, they're just doing wonders everywhere. He's like,
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, they've been around for so long.
I
You know, a lot of
know.
people
Yeah.
have passed through. Their Yuzo Koshiro
Exactly.
did music for them for a while. Those
Yeah.
big names.
A ton of people came through there.
And I guess when it comes to funding new IPs in the JRPG space, while not necessarily a JRPG, but we saw Xbox helping fund the Claire Obscure game, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious if Xbox or Microsoft will have their hand in some future JRPGs now that, we're kind of in this new golden age of JRPGs.
There's definitely interest there because, like, look, one of the big things that's been an ongoing saga of Xbox and marketability is like, please, someone in Japan like us, like just like someone, and like that's been a thing with Sega Atlas. Like they've been doing a lot of like if we're gonna get a Persona 4 like remake announcement, it's gonna be an Xbox showcase.
Oh yeah,
like that's just how it is now.
I
Like,
think so.
outside, like SMT still gets a little more Nintendo association, I think, but Persona and Metaphor, that's all been Xbox lately.
I know. It's wild. Like,
Yeah, I
Whenever
think
you talk about the game, it's always Xbox is listed first because that's what they asked.
I'm actually very
Like our
curious.
promotional stuff.
Like something I've been curious about is why they have not tried picking up some of the attempted spiritual successor games that we know have been going on. Like 505 picked up Aiden, for instance, to like they helped bring that out. And we know the struggles have been going on with the Armed Fantasia and can't remember the Shadow Hearts one right
Penny
now.
Blood.
Penny Blood.
Penny Blood.
Penny Blood. I always want to say Penny Dreadful,
publisher.
which is not.
The other one didn't.
Yes. Yeah. That's been a heartbreak to follow if you backed those or have just wanted more of that style. But there's so much opportunity for that kind of like, keep the budget within the right scope.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to like that's, I think the most frustrating thing to me is that we've seen indie games that tap into an older retro aesthetic and do well.
Yeah.
And yet every time a company with established IP is working on something, they're like, hey, but what if we made this the most expensive thing we could? And it's like, no, just don't. Like, you don't have to. Like, make it look like a PS1 game that supports a modern resolution, and I'll be happy.
JRPG fans are easy to please. Like,
Yeah, we're not
we
asking
don't ask
for the
a lot.
world.
Like-
I wonder if it's just the developers are used to working with that kind of budget and they can't fathom, taking a step back. And
Maybe. I don't, yeah.
But like you have like games like, let's say, like I think horror games have been doing it really well. They've been really tapping into that like aesthetic of like PS1,
The retro.
PS2 era of
Absolutely.
things. Like you have Crow Country that's like very much has like that painted on those the backgrounds.
yeah.
Kind of like I forgot the name exactly.
Pre-rendered backgrounds.
Pre-rendered backwards,
Yeah.
yes. So basically, like, I was talking about it on like an earlier episode of what we were doing this, where I was just like, I want to see them do that and I think with Fantasia we kind of got that as well, Fantasian. But with like more, I want to see more of that because like with like the level of quality that you can see in 4K and things like that, it would just look so good.
Yeah, well, Fantasian's a particularly wild one because that wasn't even a
know.
pre-rendered background. That was real models.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That you
is
built,
wild.
and then like that's like
Did
that
it
was
disclose how
my.
expensive that was? Because I can't imagine.
I'm sure that was much more
It's-
expensive than traditional pre-rendered backgrounds.
I
It
can-
had- I mean,
Yeah.
like pre-rendered, I think is harder than some people realize, but like, yeah, that in particular is
It's
a
art.
very yes.
It
You had
was
to push
great.
hard.
I do wish that they had taken the photos in like higher than 720p resolution.
It was
because-
an iPhone originally thing.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to be stuck on little phones.
They're going to be on
and
the
then it
tiny
was like,
screen
hey, guess
forever,
what?
but on the Switch, or the PlayStation Portal, it looks great. On a 4K TV, it's like, ooh, okay.
It stands out a lot
But
more.
it's
for sure.
still very cool. Like it does not detract from the artistry of it. It's
No.
very, very cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to ask. If companies want to take big swings and they want to take them in that sort of way, I think that's cool. I'm all for it. But also, we don't need the highest budget. Like, make your games manageable, and then you don't need to sell 1 billion copies to break even, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm an outsider to this series, but I'm trying to fix that this year. But as I understand, that's basically the Nihon Falcom approach with
That's their thing.
Trails, where it's just like, look, we know we're going to sell to this many people, and that's all we're trying to do. We're not like, it'd be cool if more people join in, but we are not targeting our budget like we're trying to make some kind of massive shift. And the same goes again with like Yakuza, where it's like, I'm still seeing photos from PS3 images because it's just made its way into the game as a reused asset. They
Also,
know what they're
Falcom's
on.
interesting with being more like global releases, because that's opened, I think, a lot more revenue towards their way as well.
Yeah.
And if we're going to get simultaneous releases for the Trails series, like, I think they're going to be really happy with the turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
We're eating good
Trails
yeah.
is they're
as a
wild how
Trails
fast they're-
community.
Yeah, as Trails fans, we're doing well. It's like Kirby fans. We're all eating well.
Eating so well.
And I will try to eat at least 3 to 4 of them this year. There's a lot. There's a lot of catch.
I'll tell you from personal experience, it can be done, but it is a lot.
A buddy of mine who writes for I always mix up the sites. I think it's RPG Net. I might be messing it up. But he had posted a How Long to Beat. That was the wrap up of all games, including the newest one, and it's like 957 hours. And he's like, "Hey, don't be scared." And I just replied like, "I'm going to tell you, I'm scared. Like I see that, and I'm a little worried. I'm a little like I want to do it, but oh boy,
It's a lot.
It's a task.
Yeah,
It is.
it's like,
But it's fun. It's like
Yeah.
a good task.
Well, and to be clear, my hesitance, I clarified this to someone too. My hesitance is not that like, oh, that's so many hours. It's like, that sounds like work. My hesitance is I'm going to like it.
Oh, yeah.
And then
that's
I
gonna
just
take
lost
over.
that many hours of my life.
Right.
And who knows, like I got other stuff I got to get done.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Well, just eliminate TV shows or whatever. from the
yeah,
agenda.
like, and
I'll do
the
that.
thing is, like, you'll be playing them for the first time. I'm the idiot that has replayed them all like 3 or 4 times. So take that times 4. That's what I'm working with. So like, you'll be fine. You just do this once through. Once through is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you use a
But even
guide
once
too, that,
through is a
and then the
Once through. Is fine.
was it the double speed or whatever?
Yeah, you can speed them up.
Make
You
it
can
a little
speed them
bit
up.
faster,
The original playthrough of before they added the high speed mode, that would take you quite a while for sure.
A long time.
It was
Especially
like-
I played Cold Steel on the Vita. Ooh.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I can't imagine.
It's like it feels like slow motion. That's
Yeah,
how
it
slow
does.
it is. It's so slow.
It's so slow.
like
No,
those
that's-
games, they're horrifying in like normal speed or whatever this normal speed
Fast
is.
forward
The regular speed, yeah.
Fast forward
Yeah.
combat is such a wonderful. Like, don't get me wrong. I love turn based and being able to input commands, but like, not having fast forward is so hard to go back to sometimes. I played
is.
Suikoden 1 and 2 remastered back to back, and those give you up to 4 times or up to 3 times, I think, once you get a certain character, which was I thought a fun idea. But it was like, I was using that a ton, and then I went to Eiyuden and it was like, oh, that's right, this didn't have fast forward, and it felt such a slog to readjust. Or like
man.
12 having fast forward was a godsend for Final Fantasy because
That's true. Yeah.
I just
Oh, in the
set
Zodiac Age, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You just set their behaviors and then let the fast forward do the work.
It's just amazing how like we adjust to things, because when I played 12 on the PS2 back in the day, I don't remember being, annoyed that it was so sluggish or
Yeah.
slow. But
If you were to go back to
going
it today, I bet it
now,
would be like,
can't
ugh.
imagine.
Yeah, you feel it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
The ideal situation, I think, is for, when they're crafting the battle system and they're making these animations, make it so that we don't need it. Make them snappy, make them fast and like smooth
Don't
and
waste
quick
time.
and like just, like we're long past the days of like the 20-minute summoning cinematics, at least. Square got over that, I think.
Yeah.
But, you could still keep things moving along. That's okay.
Yeah. Or at least give an option to skip. Like Trails does. Like for all your
That's the thing about Trails
yeah.
is you not only do you have high speed mode, you can hit a button and skip any battle animation. You just skip it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's
like,
nice.
yeah,
Use
it's
that a
great.
lot.
I use that a lot.
When I start to get impatient, I start using that. Yeah.
I see it like one time through, and then
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Okay, that's
Now
it. I
can
get it. I get
skip
it.
Yeah.
A thought that came. Oh,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying a thought that came to me because I meant to bring this up earlier, but then we started going in all the other directions.
Zigging
All
and
great
zagging,
stuff.
yes.
Kind of going back to where we started, though, we talked a lot about these different third-party companies and what their futures are for JRPGs, which I think sadly is going to be remake heavy outside of a couple. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the remakes too and the remasters, but like new stuff is great. Going back to Nintendo, outside of my pipe dream of Golden Sun, which I just, that's my own thing to reckon with. Xenoblade and Fire Emblem. How are we feeling as far as just like we're going to get more of both those franchises, but what are we thinking timeline wise for those?
Well, we need Genealogy of the Holy Word remaster for Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Surprised
that
we
should be
didn't see it
coming
at the
hopefully
reveal.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has been my. I've done my best to like keep my hype like guesses in check, and that was the only one I kept going back to for both the past directs. I was like, we got to get Fire Emblem Remake. Like it's gotta be time now, right? Like you gotta do it.
We waited this long. Where is it?
Yeah. So I feel they're gonna have like that, and then they're gonna have like at least a hint at a new Fire Emblem game that's gonna come out sometime in the early stages of the Switch 2.
It will be more like Three Houses or Engage?
Maybe, probably Three Houses.
Or neither.
Or maybe neither.
Three Houses.
Is that the direction the wind's blowing?
Neither.
I kind of vote neither. And this might also just be my own projection, but I love Three Houses as like its own thing. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
And I understand why like the calendar system approach has been becoming more popular.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that makes full sense for Fire Emblem moving forward unless they keep doing this school aspect kind of thing, which doesn't really fall in with like the traditional formula as much.
No.
True.
And Engage,
That's true.
I do like how Engage played like classic in the combat itself. There were other things about it I wasn't quite as much of a fan of. But I feel like part of the point of Engage is that it was an anniversary game and they wanted it to reflect classic games more. And I don't necessarily see them doubling down on that aspect for like a brand new mainline entry. I feel like they tried going slightly gimmicky with each new one, where like Fates was, we're doing the multiple versions, and Three Houses we're having the calendar system. I feel like there's another experiment. Like I feel like every Fire Emblem needs like some kind of gimmick a little bit to stand out as its thing.
Yeah, look at Awakening with their children manifesting.
Honestly, what I want from them is just like take Engage's like battle system, like it's just like a really good Fire Emblem battle system, and just put like a typical fantasy like setting with a good story, like a traditional story that it doesn't have to like, you don't have to do any like calendar system, just like a good story, and let you play that out. Like that's just all that Fire Emblem needs to do right now. Like it's just
but that's Nintendo, right? Like they don't ever want to do anything that doesn't have a gimmick. They like refuse to make a new entry in a series without some, that's why we haven't had a new Star Fox game in forever, because Miyamoto couldn't think of a new like goofy thing to shoehorn in there. So maybe Fire Emblem is not as beholden to that, but I don't know.
And I think the gimmick doesn't necessarily have to be something like wild. I mean, again, like, calendar system, that was borrowing a concept we'd seen in other games. Fates was a multi-version thing, which we've seen across a lot of different stuff. And even Awakening honestly didn't even so much have its own gimmick as it was like a greatest hits collection of things they did in past games. They were like, what if we did reclassing and children and skills all in one title? What if we brought it all back?
And the gimmick can be
the
like
gimmick was the casual mode.
And the gimmick can be using the mouse. Like you can use the mouse to move like things around. So like that could be their gimmick. Everything else can be normal and like
they're making it real time.
That's good. We solved it.
It's now an RTS.
Yeah, now it's a real time strategy.
Can you imagine?
We ruined it. We ruined it.
Oh no! I take it back. I put it back in the bottle. Put it back in the bottle.
No, it's too late. It's out there.
It's out there.
Nintendo heard us.
Did we just? Yeah. Oh man, we just did something real bad. We're sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, everybody.
Delete this episode if that becomes a reality. I cannot have.
Very sorry.
I cannot have this on me putting that energy out there.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the reason Fire Emblem stands are gonna
hate
attack.
Yeah. With the thinking about the directs, like you were saying, expecting to see, like I expected to see something Fire Emblem. I kind of also wouldn't have been shocked to see something Xenoblade. I think the reason is that I was setting my expectations close to the level of the original Switch reveal, where they gave us a brand new Xenoblade game. They gave us Octopath Traveler. They showed us SMT5. Like they were just hitting us with so many amazing things. And this one, they're like, well, we remastered Bravely Default.
Well, like,
which is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Bravely Default. But it's like,
I think they had those hits from like a more generic Nintendo standpoint where we got like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong. But from a JRPG side of things, that absolutely was not light, the same. Yeah. And that's another thing. Talking about not knowing what Square Enix is doing, I feel like Square Enix became such a fixture at directs that while I'm excited for Bravely Default remastered, there was another part of me that was like, that's all Square's doing here? Like that's all we're getting?
I feel like there should be more. And like feel like especially like going into that direct, I like with them postponing the announcement of the Switch 2 for so long, like for like a year and a half, 2 years almost. I felt like they were cooking. They were like they did. I felt like they were just they were sitting on software and they were just like, we're not going to release this until we have a really good like incubator of games that we can just show off. And I felt like
Convince you to buy the Switch too.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I that Direct did not give me that same vibe. I loved all the games, like, you know, that new Donkey Kong looks amazing. The, you know, Mario Kart World looks awesome and things like that. But like, a lot of it, like, you know, even the Kirby Air Ride, you're like,
Oh no.
Oh,
We just lost.
we just
This
lost
is unprecedented.
This does not like Kirby Air Ride.
This
Kirby
is
Air Ride banned from
unprecedented
this
in the
track.
history of the JRPG. We just lost Dalla.
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
Our software didn't like the mention of Kirby.
I guess.
Positive
That's I didn't realize that was like a trigger word for
I don't either.
shutting it down.
Well,
Oh, well, I hope he realizes that he got shut out and
I
he's
think
not
it's
just there. He is.
hilarious. Oh,
oh,
nope.
nope.
Tell them to stop and
All right.
restart the studio. Okay.
all right, can you hear me?
I think you're back.
Are you there? I think you're there.
Yeah. I'm hearing.
I don't really
echo
hear
on
you, though.
myself, though. What
This
happened?
is why we record videos. So
Yeah.
in case something happens.
Right.
Hold on, wait.
It said your video is safe though. Don't worry.
That's good.
It said everything up until now has been saved.
Okay, good.
He's frozen though.
Am I frozen?
I think we're just
No, you're
frozen
good.
because you were just very still.
You were just very still.
Well, I'm gonna roll with this audio right now.
You're fine. Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, like we're coming to the end of the episode
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
anyway.
at the end. If people stuck
So it's
around
fine.
this long, they'll
Yeah.
continue. It's
Not
okay.
bad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They'll deal with it. Yeah. So anyway,
Did
the
you wanna
future
finish your
is
thought?
the future looks remaster heavy. I think.
It does.
I
And
agree.
that's okay. That's better than nothing. Hopefully, it will get some of these classics in front of people that haven't played them, and hopefully they
Like
will,
myself.
like yourself, and also just make them accessible for even people who have played them to be able to play them again on modern
And a new
consoles.
coat of paint.
Yeah, if they can, honestly, yeah, if they can make them just look a little bit better, upscaled to
Yeah,
modern
more,
resolutions.
it's just easier to play than sometimes bringing out the old systems and trying to connect to an older TV and all that.
Or-
It's
Yeah.
nice
anyone-
to have the modern hardware.
Yeah, or anyone like finding themselves getting into the genre, right? It's like, oh, guess what?
Yeah.
You need to buy a CRT or a high quality upscaler and plug it into a system. You also have to buy the actual hardware, or there's other ways, obviously. But in terms of
Yeah.
Yeah.
playing the authentic way, it's
Exactly.
not cheap or accessible, and so
And there's such a large back catalog of JRPGs. It's fine if you're coming into the genre now to just like let the mass market sort of curate an experience for you. Like you're going to get some remasters. You can play Suikoden 1 and 2. Like
Yeah.
they're accessible to you right
Please
now. They're
do.
great. There's some games that I think are great that aren't probably going to get remastered, but it's okay. Like there's plenty of games to play. You'll
You're
be
gonna have
fine.
more than enough time. Like
You're going to have, there's plenty
honestly,
of
you
games.
won't be able to get to all of them.
No, you won't
I
be
don't
able
get to all of them.
yeah, we've been keeping up with them, and we don't get to all of them.
I've been playing them for 36 years and I still don't. I have not played them all, so it's fine. It's okay. Yeah. Well, maybe we shouldn't tempt fate. Maybe we should
It's
wrap
bad
it up.
omen.
Bad omen.
Just don't
Yeah.
talk about
Well,
the one.
I think it was
pink
the Fire
puffball.
Emblem talk, honestly.
Yeah, he's off limits.
No, yeah.
Nobody say Kirby. Oh crap.
No Kirby.
Matsurai is like waiting.
Yeah. His finger hovering over the kill switch.
dedicating his time specifically to just undermining.
Those JRPG pursuers will get you next time.
Oh my god.
Well, we're really sputtering here, guys. Let's
Yeah, I
wrap
think
it up.
overall, though, it's a very optimistic outlook for fans of the genre of JRPGs. Like,
Yeah.
I think we're going to have so much to eat the next couple of years, whether it'll be on the Switch 2 or other alternative hardware.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we'll be spoiled for choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not to bring up a new talking point at the last second that accidentally adds 15 minutes. But one thing I forgot to mention, there is that part of me that also hopes with the impending release of Expedition 33 that maybe there's a little bit of room of inspiration for either more in the indie sector or even with the established companies that like, hey, like this aesthetic still works and you don't have to make a 90-hour game to like justify it. You know, like
Exactly.
There's
Exactly.
Agreed.
this is an option.
Games that
Agreed,
respect
agreed.
our time a little more, that's fine. That's fine. I'm all for
Yeah,
that.
and that looked nice, and they bring back, turn-based combat.
Yeah, and it plays really great. Like it
great.
does its own spin on it. It's great. Yeah, really hoping that catches on. I'm sure
Me
it'll
too.
do well.
We'll see next couple of weeks how it goes. But anyway, we loved having you here with us, Kevin, today and chatting about the future of JRPGs. So you could catch Kevin on his YouTube channel, Kevin Kenson, and he's also hosts a podcast, Party Chat, with his co-host, Cameron Hawkins. So definitely worth a listen if you're looking for another JRPG podcast. Anything else you guys want to share before we close off today?
Just real quick, thank you to the members for continuing to support the show and for creating the best Discord. We love you guys. We really appreciate you. If you are interested in becoming a member, you can sign up and get access to the Discord. At the Pursuer level, you get the bonus episodes, the after show, which, Kevin, are you good to join us for the after show? Am I over promising? All right. He's good to hang. So hang out with us, watch the after show. We'll be there having fun, getting weird. So, thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me.
Yeah,
Bye, everybody.
We loved having you. And until next week, guys, or if you're going to be with us for the after show, bye-bye.
See you then. Bye.